Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the October Ordinary Council meeting. Warm welcome to those in the gallery and those who are joining by Zoom. The meeting is being live streamed via Zoom webinar facilities. Recordings of council meetings or parts thereof cannot be copied, recorded, reproduced, reused, or transmitted without the prior written consent of the General Manager. The meeting is being recorded and made publicly available on the Council's website, and persons attending the meeting should refrain from making defamatory statements. I acknowledge that this meeting is being held on traditional lands of the Wiradjuri, Gundungurra and Darug people, and respect the history and culture of elders both past and present. I'll now call on Pastor Andrew Trafford to lead the prayer.
Thank you very much for allowing us to pray for you. You need our prayer. And I want to assure you that we know to pray now, but pray every week. Church, God. I'll pray. Our Father and our, we lift up our local leaders today. We pray for our mayor, for our councillors, and all who serve in our local communities. May they have wisdom in how to best represent everyone. Father, we also ask you give them courage so that when it's hard, they continue to boldly represent their constituents and the needs of those who are most vulnerable. Strengthen them with wisdom and grace for the burdens they carry. May they manage their employees with love and their projects with wisdom. Keep their hearts true and wise, and may they work in the best interests of the people they have been called to serve. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Andrew. All right, we have one request for a leave of absence for the Councillor Lauren Kembar, who is quite sick with a virus. Can I move and second, please? Councillor McCarthy, Councillor Packer. And I have an apology from Councillor McKibben, who is running late. He should be here about 6 o'clock. And Chris Schumacher, the Technical Service Director, is at home again. He's another one that's really quite ill at the moment with a particular infection. Are there any declarations of interest? Okay. We have a vote for the leave of absence and the apology. All in favour? Unanimously. Declarations of interest? No declarations of interest. There's no presentations from the public this time. Are there any questions this tonight to be aware of? I'll dispense with the blurb if there's no questions. We'll move on to item 8, confirmation of minutes. The ordinary meeting minutes for the ordinary meeting of the 20 September 2022, and the recommendation is that minutes of the ordinary meeting held on 20 September 2022 be confirmed. Councillor Hayden and Councillor Graham. Councillor Hayden.
No, nothing to add.
Graham. Anyone else? Put the motion. All those in favour?
Okay.
Motion's passed unanimously. The mayoral minutes. So can I have a second for that? Councillor Hayden.
Nothing to add.
Any other comments? Questions? Captain Carthy.
Just the action on from Frank's starting. Anyway, concerning the Abercrombie Bridge.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe we've got to start putting some pressure on getting a proper bridge down there instead of the low level ones. So there's money out there.
Now we have responded to him.
Yeah, that's fine.
And he recognised that he was asking us to do things that we were not. Yeah, that was not within our remit. So,
Yep, no, that's fine.
okay. Anyone else? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Motion's passed unanimously. We have no notice of the motion. So councillor and delegate reports, item 1101, recommendations of council note the delegates update the 12th September 2022 Black Springs Community Association meeting. Councillor Hayden and councillor McCarthy. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, just a general report of the last member held.
Just straightforward.
Anyone got any comments and questions? I'll put the motion, all those in favour. That just passed unanimously. The Oberon Business and Tourism Association meeting, item 1102, and the recommendations of 1102 is received as information. Moved by councillor Hayden, second, councillor Tucker. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, just a general report of the last meeting. There was a couple of items that I missed in that report, and that was the new addition to Obta's website for a member committee area and possible redesign of Obta's logo to take into council's branding of more than you imagine. More than you imagine.
Councillor Tucker.
Nothing to add.
Anyone else have anything?
Just the last little point, the road down at Hampton that. Yeah, we need to put some pressure on the politicians to sit on their hands and do nothing after 3 years. It's just.
We have sent another letter to the various
Okay.
ministers and opposition leaders. Sorry, opposition, the shadow minister.
Oh, we went to the opposition? Thank you.
And we've also asked for a feasibility study, preferably done by traffic for Transport for New South Wales, regarding access options for Northern Coast.
Okay, our local members just flipped past at the Sam Faraway, so he's really, he should take his hat off TV actually. That is concerned about our road network.
Okay, anyone else? I'll put the motion, all those in favour. Motion's passed unanimously. Committee reports, the Oberon News Council, item 1201. The council received report item 1201 as information. Will Councillor Graham, Councillor Hayden. Councillor Graham.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Youth Council has revved up a bit, if you could say that. They went through a bit of a lull for a while. They're getting enthusiastic again, I think, particularly with the mural and the other bits and pieces. It's a shame that the barista, of course, was cancelled for lack of interest, which was a shame, especially after all the work that put into it. And that's what the minutes are saying. So.
Councillor Hayden.
Yes, it's a good report, and I'm glad to see that the youth council are getting involved with the skate workshop and the mural, which I'll be happy to come along and have a chat with the youth, and it's a great report. Thank you.
Anyone else? I'll put the motion, all those in favour. Passed unanimously. Item 1202, Community Services Committee meeting. The recommendation is minutes of the 8th September 2022 Community Services meeting are being accepted. Moving second, Councillor Graham, Councillor Watt. Councillor Graham.
The main focus of that committee at the moment is the reconnecting regional grant, and that planning for that going ahead very well, actually. So if anyone has questions about it, we're happy to answer them.
Councillor Watt.
Nothing to add.
Just a comment. I've received a number of questions in the street about it, and I've directed them all to you. A lot of it was about detail. So
Yeah, that's fine.
right. Anyone else? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Motion's passed unanimously. Right, the Audit Risk and Improvement Committee. The recommendation is that minutes of the Audit Risk and Improvement Committee meeting held on 15th September be received, and the recommendation is contained within the minutes to be endorsed. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Tucker, Councillor McCarthy, Councillor Tucker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just the accurate record of the meeting, I think. I just have a couple of questions. Page 24, of today's business paper, page 4 of the minutes, the resignation of the independent member. Moved Phil Burgess. I can't remember who Phil Burgess is. So he's not mentioned in the record of attendance.
No, well, he is the, he is the other person who, so I think that might have been an error.
An oversight in the record. Yeah, I just, for
No.
the life of me, I just couldn't
No,
picture him or place him or.
because he was the other independent member,
Right.
and the fellow that was there was a observer.
Yes, I knew about him, but I could only remember Neil Maltby as the chair and
Yep.
Ron Gillard, and I couldn't remember
Yeah.
anyone else.
Through the chair, thank you for the pickup. I think it was Neil Malton as the mover. Recommendation, who is the chair.
Yeah,
Because mostly it was him.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's right. And so who's Phil Burgess? Was he there?
He was an independent member
Yeah.
previously.
he was also
Previously.
a previous independent member.
But was he at this meeting?
No,
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm not going to
so
say.
no, you're not. No, you're not. Thank you for the pickup.
And just again, I'm still not clear about what the process is that we will be following to fill those vacancies. Do we advertise publicly? And are we waiting for the terms of reference to be final before we commence that process?
Right to vote.
Yes,
Yes, yeah.
thank you. That was all I had to know.
Okay, councillor McCarthy. Yes.
Just straightforward report. Councillor Tucker's picked up the mistakes, so that's good.
Anyone else? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Motion's passed unanimously. Item 1301, unaudited financial statements for 2021-22. The recommendation is that council accept the 2021-22 unaudited financial statements in accordance with section 413(3) of the annual financial report is in accordance with the Local Government Act 1993 as amended, and the regulations made thereunder, the Australian Accounting Standards and Professional Procurements announcements, and the Local Government Code of Accounting Practice and Financial Reporting. Presents fairly the council's operating result and financial position for the year and accords with council's accounting and other records. And 2, delegate the mayor, deputy mayor and general manager and the corporate services director to sign the 2021-22 financial statements when the audit office review has been received and there are no material changes required. Do I have a mover in a second? Councillor Hayden. Councillor Tucker, Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to endorse the recommendation in both parts and delegate the authority to the mayor.
Councillor Tucker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, a couple of, I hope, quick questions, and with a bit of luck, I might answer these myself as well. Well, it's mentioned on both page 48 and 30, and it mentions the loss of 3.575 million from the disposal of assets being the value of newly constructed roads. So I didn't know that was the process, but would I be right in thinking that somewhere in the accounts that would be offset by the value of the new road that's just been constructed?
Through the mayor, yes, you are correct. So as a part of accounting procedures, because we effectively ripped up the old road, we had to dispose of the value of the books of those old roads to then include the value of the new road.
Thank you. I thought that might have been the case. Back to, I'm in the attachments on page 18. The FAG local roads component, so 862,000. I just wondered, did that just go into the general consolidated accounts, or is it specifically allocated for roads?
Through the mayor, it is designed for the local roads use within the general fund.
Yes, so is it possible to say what particular road purposes it goes to, or is it?
So through the mayor, those items were dealt with the part of the budget process. So it doesn't get individually, divvied out.
Yeah, I thought that might have been the case. I was just curious as to how that was handled. On the same page, further down, it mentions RMS contributions, additional funding, 400,000 I'm curious what that is.
Through the chair, we had the opportunity to gain additional funding through. I don't want to quote the grant because I might say the wrong one, but we had the opportunity as a part of a standard grant that we get to apply for an additional 400,000, which we were successful in obtaining.
Sorry, do you mind just going
Yeah,
through that again?
So I don't want to say which grant in particular because I don't want to state the wrong one, but there were a couple of grants that we had the opportunity to get a secondary payment for upon application, and we were successful in that point.
So if you like, we'll,
I can confirm the specific grant and get back to you on notice if that's okay.
Oh, yeah, that's fine with me. No,
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
A couple more, page 24. The biggest item by far on that list is road maintenance contractors, 10.956 million. Is that purely maintenance? I'm guessing that a fair bit of that would be construction as well.
Correct. If you would divert your eyes to one of the bottom rows, you'll see that less capitalized costs takes out 11.4 million. That is where the netting off of the capital items then moves into the balance sheet. So that the 10.9 is the entirety of the road maintenance contractors, both maintenance and capital.
Oh, thank you. Again, I was just confused because it said maintenance in mine. And my final question on page 33. And it mentions 2.466 million for the financial assistance grant.
Yep.
If I can find it again myself. And my note was,
It's last point.
Yeah.
it just how well, my note was explain the internal allocation of that.
Yep.
If that
So
question makes sense.
no, that's perfectly fine. So at the back end of the 21 to 22 financial year, we received an upfront payment for the FAGS grant for the 22 to 23 financial year, to the total sum of 2.466. So we restrict that for use in the following.
Thank you. That was the next one. Thank you.
any other questions from anyone? Okay, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Motion is passed unanimously. Now, I'm going to bring item 1409 forward, and that's simply because that's the budget update, and it allows those who not have to say the end of the So item 1409, and I have a mover and a seconder to bring that forward. Councillor Hayden, Councillor Watt. All those in favour? All right. So item 1409 is the quarterly budget review statements for July to September 2022. And the recommendation is that item 1409 is received as information. I move on the second, Councillor Hayden, Councillor Watt. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, happy to move the recommendation, and it's a great report, and thank you very much for that.
Councillor Watt.
Thank you.
Councillor Tucker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree. It's a good report. I found it very easy to follow the explanations of what was happening in the various adjustments. Again, I just have one question relating to page 115, which is the spreadsheet for capital work. So what I did was I went back to the email I sent with a list of exact capital works a month or two ago, and which we were all responded to very well, and just went through to compare what changes have been made here with the answers that I got back at that time. And I could follow all of them except for the one about the community hub. So the question I asked at the time was, originally we had 3.55 million for community hub, and then we allocated an extra 250,000 out of the TI fund towards the community hub. So I assume that one of those figures, either the TI fund or the community hub figure, would reduce by 250,000, but that doesn't seem to have happened.
Through the chair, I think I missed that one. I too went through all the emails and correspondence to try and include everything, and I think I did miss that one, and I will make a note to include QBR too.
Thank you very much. That was
Councillor McKechnie.
Yeah, just similar, following on from Councillor Tucker. Yeah, but a similar question, because I thought we moved or resolved to spend the CI money to reduce the borrowing. So I don't see anything in there about whether we've actually finalised the loan, or have we. My question, I guess, is have we applied for the loan?
Yeah, so through the chair, we haven't yet. What we're trying to do is look at opportunities to reduce that delta to a point where we really don't have a choice. We're also looking now at the potential to, in fact, carry that loan internally rather than an external loan. We're just in the process of doing that calculation.
Okay, so we'll have that information shortly.
Through the chair, you'll have that information as part of a report back like this, absolutely.
In the next time. Yeah. Thank you.
Right, any more? All right, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Councillor McKechnie?
Oh, sorry, I did have another question, but I can raise it later when we come to the plant replacement.
Okay, all right.
I'm uncertain of the figures, that's not sure.
All right, so the 1409 is passed unanimously. And now just 1302, the investment policy review. The recommendation is that the council place the draft pot investment policy 2211 on public exhibition for 28 days, and submissions be invited to council during that period. If no submissions are received within the exhibition period, the policy be adopted as presented. Moved by Councillor Hayden, seconded. Councillor Tucker, Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to endorse the recommendation, and it's part of our normal everyday requirement.
Councillor Tucker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nothing to add.
Agree, it's a pretty straightforward question and answer this one. Anyone else? Move the motion. All those in favour? 1302 is passed unanimously. All right, item 1303, replacement truck and dog trailer plant, item 55. The recommendation is that council provide $65,527.28 from the plant replacement fund to assist with the purchase of the replacement 3-axle dog trailer totaling $119,572.73 exclusive of GST. General manager be authorised to receive of the purchase 3-axle dog trailer replacement. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Hayden. Councillor McCarthy. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to endorse the recommendation and authorise the general manager to proceed.
Councillor McCarthy.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. The thing that concerns me is, we get the report now in October, yet the tenders were sourced in August, that's all. Could have been back to last meeting, that's all, and if we've got a lead time of 6 months from when we ordered them, when we get it, we'll be in our road building. Fine.
Yeah, through the chair, my comment to that is purely the staff tried to source a second like for like, but found it difficult to do so. So they went through a number of avenues to do that before they brought this report back.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Watt.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, to the general manager. Just wondering, I guess the reason that we're having to come up with some additional funds is because you were attempting to replace a second-hand vehicle. I suppose I'm referring to whether we've got appropriate insurance or whether it's, you know, the fact is that you were trying to replace a second-hand vehicle with a second-hand vehicle and you weren't able to do that. I suppose my question is, are you happy with the, in general, with their insurance? I mean, that's a question, you're a professional and I'm not, so.
Thank you for the confidence, but in this circumstance, when we deal with insurance, there is an element of risk associated with this, and trailers have always been dealt with in that as a bulk item, and that's the replacement value that it was provided for. As a trailer standalone, as was indicated, staff tried to source a second-hand trailer to meet the specifications of the current one that we've had, and hadn't been able to source one. So the recommendations here are based on council being in a position to in fact buy a trailer new, with the funds that we've been able to find in the plant replacement fund.
Councillor Tucker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess most councillors have seen the general manager's response to my email that was sent out today, and I appreciate that with a detailed reply that cleared up my queries, which were quite hard to explain what I was actually asking.
So through the chair, I hope we did that for you.
Yes, you did. Thank you. And the comment I made in my email was, well, surely we don't have an unexpected windfall from all these trade-ins, but we do have an unexpected windfall because of the way the budget was set up in the previous financial year. So yes, it certainly appears as though there will be plenty of money to proceed with the purchase of the trailer. I'm just wondering whether it would assist to enable that purchase to go ahead straight away if we were to alter the allocations for these half a dozen items of plant in the capital works list to reduce the allocations down to what we now believe is necessary for the changeover, and increase the amount for the trailer so that it is enough to proceed with the purchase straight away.
Through the chair, once a motion has been passed by council, we can then put it in the QBR to reflect the changes as you were
To
suggesting.
do exactly that.
Yes.
Yeah, but do we need to specifically resolve that, or will that just happen as a matter of course?
Should this recommendation be approved by all parties, it will happen in the next QBR as a matter of.
Right. But you don't need a resolution to reduce the budget allocations for these other items.
Through the chair, I wouldn't think so.
Okay, thank you. That was all, Mr. Mayor.
No. Anyone else? All right, I'll put the motion. Sorry, you got something?
Your question really to council.
Yeah, I think it has.
Well,
I can
ask it.
raise it outside the meeting.
Right. All right, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? That's all right, council technique. All right, item 1303 is passed unanimously. Item 1304, cyber security policy. The council recommendation to council endorse the cyber security policy 2104 as presented. Thank you, Zoe.
Thank you.
Councillor Hayden. Councillor McCarthy. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to endorse the cyber security policy as presented.
Pretty straightforward, thank you.
Councillor Tucker.
One quick question. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Does that also need to go on public exhibition, or has it already been?
Through the chair, it hasn't been on public exhibition. It's probably one of the policies that we would like to implement straight away, purely on the basis of the protections that this policy gives us the ability to provide for. I don't see
So
the
it's not
need.
compulsory for it to go through an exhibition process?
through the chair, I don't see the need for it. My issue is cyber security.
More an internal procedural thing.
The policy is, the procedures that we develop on the back of that will certainly be assisted by this policy. It counts, what my issue is through the chair is you put it on public exhibition and someone who's going to attack you lodges a submission to work out how they're going to attack you. So it's
I
a,
was puzzled why one was going on exhibition and the other one didn't do it, an oversight, just curious. That was all.
yeah, so through the chair, there's no real financial implication to have it outsourced.
No legal requirement.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments, questions? I'll put the motion, all those in favour? Item 1304 is passed unanimously. All right, 1305, road naming of Springfield Estate Oberon. The recommendation is that council proceed with an advertisement to be placed in the Oberon Review, seeking written submissions for the naming of the new road within the Springfield subdivision. At the conclusion of the 30-day exhibition period, a further report to council will be presented, compiling all received name submissions for consideration and determination. Now, Councillor Hayden, Councillor Watt. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to endorse the recommendation, and I look forward to seeing some of the names that come through council.
Councillor Watt.
Yeah, nothing to add. Thank you.
Okay, good. One of the things we need to be aware of in this process is that we need to satisfy the requirements of the geographic name. They have fairly stringent requirements, so sometimes we'll remove names that are put up because they do not fit those requirements. All right, thank you. Any other questions? Councillor McCarthy.
For you, Mr. Mayor, can we also be supplied with a list of the servicemen? There used to be a standing order that those list of that served in the war that's out the front of the RSL club be considered for the road name. And then we had a developer that was sympathetic to the Oberon theme. I think we should have that list to see what names haven't been utilised. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, councillors. I'll put the motion, all those in favour? Item 1305 is passed unanimously. Item 1307, the New South Wales Local Government Recovery Grants Program. Sorry. Too fast. 1306 returns disclosing interests. The recommendations of council note the requirements to lodge a return disclosing interests of councillors and designated persons. Moved and seconded. Councillor Hayden. Councillor Watt. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to move the recommendation. It's a part of normal procedural requirement.
Yeah, nothing to add.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, I'll put the motion 1306. All those in favour? Motion's carried unanimously. 1307.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, if I could just ask a question on that, it doesn't pertain to the voting, but where are those registered available? Where are they? Yes, I know parliamentarians are, but
We keep them on our records, and in fact, I think they're in here. Well, they're also in the form. They're in the attached form.
in the attached photo.
Yes. But apart from that, they're kept in in our files and updated. That's appropriate.
And on the
Yeah.
website.
And website.
It's on the website. Yep, there you go.
So 1307. All right, now for item 1307, the New South Wales local government. Sorry. Oh, 1306. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself again. All right, I'll put 1306. All those in favour? Item 1306 is passed unanimously. 39.7.
Okay, can you time record that?
Oh, no, it's-
Well,
this is.
all right, the New South Wales Local Government Recovery Grants Program. The recommendation is that council endorse the percentage breakdown of works proposed for the $1 million New South Wales Local Government Recovery Grants Program. I've moved and seconded. Councillor Hayden, Councillor Tucker, Councillor Hayden,
Yes, I'm happy to move the recommendation. I'm happy with the percentage breakdown in the report.
Councillor Tucker,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple of questions which might be tricky without the director present, but I would like to propose a slightly different breakup of how that million will be allocated. A couple of questions first. It mentions about heavy patching to be contracted, which surprised me. I would have thought that that would be the sort of work we would be doing internally. Is there a reason why that we go to contract the heavy patching? And if it's not possible to answer without the director being there, or what we can do it out.
Through the chair, I think that it would have been based on potentially the works contract that we already have for this year and trying to source it, but that is
Not sure.
probably where I sit. What I would say is that, as indicated by the report, a detailed breakdown of where we would like to use that would be supplied to a further works program meeting, and that's where we will probably tease out a little bit of that.
Just to me, it would seem more logical for major projects. If we need to use contractors to use them for major
Yeah,
projects
yeah.
and heavy patching where it's a whole lot of little bits and pieces here and there. Seems to me more suited for internal, but that's just passing comment. It mentions 30% for unsealed roads to be done 50% internal and 50% contracted. So the question is, what is that work on unsealed roads? Is it gravel resheeting or something else, or don't know?
Through the chair, I believe it's gravel resheeting and fixing the majority of the works that have been caused by potholing and that.
And I couldn't understand the third last paragraph in the second sentence. It says, by using current council staff to perform 50% of the unsealed work, it is anticipated that council will not be required to spend any additional funds to carry out these works. I just couldn't make sense of that sentence.
I think it's through the chair, it's the financial wording of this whole report, and that is that the potential spend on maintenance will be encapsulated in the maintenance budget, therefore not spending that maintenance budget.
Okay, well, that's not quite what it says here, but I can accept that answer.
Through the chair, that's exactly what it's supposed to mean.
Yeah. Okay,
So,
thank you.
if that assists.
All right, and the breakdown that I would like to suggest, as we discussed with the briefing last week, would be instead of 70% going towards reseals, 50% going towards reseals, and 20% towards upgrading of flood-prone causeways, which is also a very strongly flood-related response, but hopefully to reduce those sort of problems next time we have a flood. And I mean, other councillors' thoughts as to whether they would agree with taking 20 of the 70% off reseals and making it on the course.
so are you proposing amendment to the recommendation?
Well, I wasn't clear about the recommendation because it says endorse the percentage breakdown. So if that means as mentioned in the report below, then yes, I am.
And that's how I take this recommendation at the moment, is 70-30.
Yeah, normally I thought it was saying that let's decide what the breakdown is and then we will adopt that. But if it needs an amendment, I will move an amendment.
So through the chair, That is purely the staff recommendations. If council want to amend it, that's entirely up to them, which is why that recommendation is how it is. We're about the understanding that people may have different.
Could I move an amendment in that case?
Hang on. Now, can I just ask a question of you, General Manager? How was this figure arrived at?
Through the chair, the figure was arrived at through the technical services department. Having a concern, as we all do, around the age of our existing bitumen reseals and the need to invest in that program. And that's why this grant, which allows for this type of activity to occur, spending some money in that space.
No, I just need to put something important. Technical Services Director had mentioned that through that grant, that bridges and causeways were going to be covered under that.
Through the chair, the causeways, I believe, are under this grant.
Okay. If you want to move an amendment to the recommendation, happy, because that's not fundamentally at odds with the original recommendation.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I absolutely support and agree with the comments that we need to do a lot more reseals, and I think a lot of that has come from me in the first place. So I'm in no way putting down the need to get a lot more reseals done. I just saw this as an opportunity also to make some progress on the causeway. So my amendment would be that council endorse the breakdown of works for the $1 million New South Wales Local Government Recovery Grants Program to be $500,000 for local roads, bitumen reseals, $200,000 for upgrading of flood-prone causeways, and 30% for local unsealed roads gravel resheeting.
Want to be specific about gravel resheeting or just uploading?
Well, or just local ones, whatever the terminology is there. If there's additional preventative maintenance. So just call it unsealed roads. Yeah.
Just through the chair, you've put $2 figures and 1%.
Oh, okay, well.
Are you happy to just go with all percentages?
Yes, 50%, 20%, 30%.
Yep. Okay, so the amendment is as shown on the screen at the moment. Mover and a seconder. So, Councillor Tucker, do I have a seconder? Councillor McCarthy. You happy to? You've had your.
I think I've had my say.
Okay, Councillor McCarthy.
Yeah, I agree with the proposal. I think we have to do more to the culverts, and we had flooding across these roads. We've got to minimise that. In some cases, just upgrading the culvert sizes there, and this is an opportunity to provide some funds. Pity director wasn't here, but we just have got to bear with it and see where this the 200,000 can get us. Because I think there's going to be more funds out there to do sewer roads. The road networks just falling apart in Hull and New South Wales. So I think, yeah, anyway.
Just through the chair, we will bring back a report to the next Works Committee about where we propose to spend this. So council will give another opportunity. We need to provide an update to the funding authority as to how we propose to spend this, and this is the way that we're moving it forward.
All right, anyone else to it? Councillor McKibben.
Thank you. My apologies for being late. And I've also partially lost my voice, which I'm sure some people will regard as a benefit. Look, I think I agree with the proposal. When I was reading this through, one of the great benefits of this is the general manager will know from my questioning of the Director of Regional New South Wales was that it does allow for realignment of roads which many of our other grants, as we know, have not allowed that. Now, I know that $1 million is not enough, so I'm not suggesting that we do anything in this space at this stage, but you know, we have Arkstone Road and we have the
So
Campbell
what's
Street.
your point?
The point is that my initial thought was whether we should use it towards it, but it's not big enough, so I support the proposal. I just make the point that it has no restrictions, unlike some of our others.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Watt.
Mr. Mayor, I respect the expertise of the folks who supporting this motion. My concern is I simply, I'm a bit concerned that they're quite specific recommendations. And it's outside of my area of expertise, and I'd certainly like to know if the staff are happy with that. But I think the general manager's made the point that we've got a lot of practice. So
Through the chair, the general manager is not going to knock back $1 million from someone that's going to support the betterment to our road network.
no, it wasn't that. It was how we allocate the spending. I'm just, that seems to me quite a specific breakdown.
Through the chair, as part of responding to this grant application, we need that specific.
I'll do it.
So,
Okay.
Yeah.
It's no issue for my end.
Anyone else? I'll speak in favour of it, because I think it is a good amendment. But it doesn't, but it now provides guidance for the staff to get on and work through the individual projects they want to do with this. And I accept that maybe when it comes back, it won't be exactly that, those figures, and we will need to be cognizant of that. But I think for a starting point for the staff to get on and do it, it's a good amendment. All right, I'll now put the amendment. All those in favour? Carried unanimously, and the amendment now becomes the motion. And all those in favour? And that the motion is passed unanimously. Okay, now I'm bringing forward a late report, which I think everyone's received. So can I have a mover and seconder to bring 1308 late report forward? Councillor Hayden, Councillor Tucker. All those quickly. All right. All those in favour? All right. So the late report is a modification of development application 10/2021-91.2, community hub at 72 Dart Street and 13 Fleming Street, Oberon. And the recommendation is the council approve modification application 10/2021-91.2 for the community hub at lots 3 and 4 in DP 546753, being known as 72 Dark Street and 13 Fleming Street, Oberon, in accordance with the section 4.451A of the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act 1979. Conditions contained within this report for the following reasons. Development is permissible within the Oberon Local Environment Plan 2013. The development complies with the Oberon Local Environment Plan of 2013, and the development is considered to be appropriate and will not impact the locality unreasonably. The division is called in accordance with section 375A of the Local Government Act 1993. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Hayden. Councillor Tucker. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to move the recommendation. We've gone over this some time ago and as well as just recently. And yeah, I'm happy with that.
Councillor Tucker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with Councillor Hayden that I have read the submission and I've read the report, and most of the points that were made relate to decisions that were taken some time ago and not to the modifications. As much as I have a certain amount of sympathy with some of the points that were made, I think that time has passed, and I support the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Tucker. Anyone else? All right, I'll put the motion for 1308. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. All right. Item 1401, reports of information. And 1401 The recommendations report 1401 to receive this information. Councillor Hayden. Councillor McKibben, Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to endorse the recommendation.
Councillor McKibben,
I'm happy to second that.
any comments? Councillor McCarthy.
Yeah, I know the director of planning is the applicant for the sporting complex, but somewhere along the line, and it's not in Damien's report, couldn't we be given a report where we're up to the DA and thought this month there was to be a meeting of the joint regional panel and things like that, so we better get this going because the grants that we've got now don't buy as much as what when we received them because things have gone up. We got to get this side approved.
Yeah, through the chair, we're in fact meeting with the regional about this matter on Thursday. Yeah, and we'll provide a report back to council after that meeting.
And members of the regional panel attend.
Through the chair, members of the sports ground. What are you, mate?
Okay, so what can I let you? Okay, you know the time.
Oh, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Well. Okay, I'll put the motion that 1401 to receive this information. All in favour? Passed unanimously. Item 1402, monthly activity report for planning development and recommendation of the 1402 is received this information. Councillor Hayden. Councillor Tucker. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, happy to move the report and it's a lengthy report and very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Tucker.
Nothing to add.
Any other councillors? All right, I'll put the motion that 1402 is received this information. All those in favour? Motion passed unanimously. 1403, the monthly activity report for technical services, and the recommendations of 1403 is received as information. Councillor Hayden, Councillor McCarthy. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, happy to move the recommendation. I do hope the rain holds off and we can get a lot more of our work completed.
Councillor McCarthy.
Just a couple of things. 77. We've had the Rose Wall. We've got a quoted and contract price for that. And it's ready to proceed in the next couple of weeks. Is that correct?
Through the chair, that's the case.
Okay. And on Rosemount Road, we've stopped where we're working on the top and gone down the bottom. You might have to take this on notice, General Manager. Are we going to have a crack at the soakage or spring in the road before we get to starting to do roadworks? Like there's a significant spring in there at the moment. We need to really certainly can't drain it before we commence roadworks. So
through the chair, before, one of the main reasons that we went that way was because of that spring in the road. So whilst I'll take the question on notice, I think the answer is yes, that's the case. But I'll confirm that with you.
okay, thank you.
Councillor Gibbon.
Just following up from Councillor McCarthy, sorry, I was a bit confused. I thought on top of page 77 about the Rose Wall. So the contractor has now agreed to commence work on that after we finish the foundation work for him. Because it does, the last comment was we are looking for alternate way to deliver this project faster. So that's no longer necessary. Okay, thank you for clarification.
Councillor Tucker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With the director absent, it might not be possible to answer these tonight, in which case I'll send an email and we can respond when he's healthy again. But I had a couple of quick questions about Dart Strip, Curve and Gupper. And the main one is, I went back and had a look at the last design that came to council at the works committee in April, and it showed underground stormwater commencing from the corner of the primary school and underneath Earl Street and all the way down that side. And that hasn't happened. There's no new stormwater connection from that corner. I assume it must start somewhere down along the frontage of a block or two down. I'm wondering why that change was made, because I thought that was one of the main purposes, was to clear that water coming down from the school.
Oh, we'll take that on. We'll take that notice and.
Yeah.
And
And it's probably more a question for the director, and I had another question about the way that the work has been done on the south side, but I'll ask the director that as
You
well.
are directly, okay.
One that the general manager may or may not be able to answer is on page 78, on the 16th of September. It mentions EPA formal report submission overflow incident, which is the one down next to my place. I'm wondering, was that a meeting with EPA? Are they looking at it, or what was that?
So
Line
through
item
there,
there.
they come out, looked at it, we've provided all the information that we had in regards to the incident.
Yeah.
My understanding is nothing is. No action has taken place in regards to this point in time, if any.
I would have been surprised if it was, but I heard a similar one in Sydney where action was taken, so I'm curious to know if we were going to pop anything from them, but.
Through the chair, it's the same one in Sydney that I think of that's quite a significant amount more than what ours was.
Well, the one I heard that they were fined for was not much more than,
Okay.
but anyway, that was all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
It's just the work in Dart Street and the work in Raleigh Street looks to be done pretty professionally and finished off. And it's better for the engineer to source someone else to do it. It's just this point and we can't do it locally.
We'll pass it on.
When's better? I don't know, you've got to give credit when, I mean, they do a good job.
That's why I said I'll pass it on from you.
Yeah.
Thank you, councillor McCarthy. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Motion is passed unanimously. 1404, monthly activity report for corporate services. Recommendation 1404 is received for information. Councillor Hayden. Councillor Tucker. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to read the recommendation to accept the report, and I'd just like to thank corporate services for that, and there's been quite an extraordinary amount of Facebook activity as well, and I think that may be in regards to all the advertising that's been done over the recent couple of months.
Yeah, through the chair, we definitely have a big pickup in activity boosting all the events that are coming up towards the end of the year, so we'll clear that continue out.
So thank you for that report.
Councillor Tucker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and likewise recognising that it has been a very busy time. We've just had the QBR and the audit of the financial statement, so to get that out as well is commendable, and that's all my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, I'll put the motion, council. All those in favour? Item 1404 is passed unanimously. Item 1405, statement of investments. Recommendation is that 1405 is received as information. Councillor Hayden. Councillor McKibben. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to move the recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor McKibben.
I'm happy to second it.
Thank you. Anyone else have a comment or observation? All right, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? 1405 is passed unanimously. Item 1406, monthly grants update, and the recommendations report item 1406 is received as information. Councillor Watt, Councillor Hayden, Councillor Watt.
I'm happy to move this. So I've got a couple of questions which I might ask. Who's the appropriate director to ask questions of this, given that the grants coordinator?
Through the chair, the grants coordinator fits under the planning and.
Yeah, I thought that. So in which case, through the chair, some questions, please. I noticed the regional housing planning fund sounds like an exciting opportunity. And that there's a comment about a demand for an additional 540 houses. And you say particularly affordable multi-unit dual occupancy and granny flats. Is that, do we have I mean, that's an interesting direction and one that I'd support, but it seems that most people favour living in sort of greenfield developments. So, and I suppose, I'm just wondering, is that based on firm data or is that based on the direction you think the council should head?
Through the chair, council, it's based, the 580 is based on, or 540, sorry, based on firm data and the requirement for the medium density or the different types of density is that what is included in the actual grant requirements. So in terms of council submitting an application to this grant application to consider part of our land use strategy review in the new year, that would be up to the community to look at the different types of development or density, and as long as we can meet the requirement that the state government is asking in terms of the number of dwellings, I think that will satisfy across the board.
Just to add a little bit more flavour, the STP working party will absolutely be aware of the struggle that we've had to get the relevant state agencies to confer with our population projections. Certainly, it's been a pretty significant slippage factor when we've looked at the STP development. We now have an agreement across all facets on that space, and that fits front and central around this document as well. So we're starting to layer different sets of data and our strategic processes around the same type of numbers when we talk about these types of projections.
Through you again, Mr. Mayor. I mean, I think this is obviously seems to me really focal business of council, you know, planning this sort of thing. If I could, I guess, comment that on one hand there, we talk about the need for a supply of development ready land, which to me implies sort of greenfield development, which is a little it's difficult to accommodate with the demand for accommodation in within the central business district, which is readily so those people that want affordable dual occupancy and granny flats would like those to be in walkable distance to community facilities, and that's hard to reconcile with the greenfields development, isn't it? So are there any ways that we can accommodate that?
Through the chair, you are asking all the very pertinent questions that you will be asked to have some thought about when we undertake our strategic land use review. The short answer is yes, there are ways that we can support it. We can't build it, but we just have the ability to allow for that to occur through our planning documents and our local plans that can cater for the very thing that is being sought.
Thank you.
Councillor Hayden?
Yes, I'm happy to second the recommendation, and I'm glad to see that the accessible playground has been undertaken within that strong community.
Councillor Tuck?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple of questions. First one is sort of following on from the discussion that was just happening, but the land use and housing strategy, I'm curious as to how that fits, if it does fit at all, with the LEP and the DCP.
Through the chair, that is exactly where it's fit. The whole review. So we're looking to offset our costs to get assistance in undertaking that full review.
Oh, I thought this was another third document.
Through the chair, as part of your review of your land use strategy, there'll be a number of documents that you need to prepare in order to meet the requirements of the state. This is all forms part of that review.
But it's not a case of here's the LEP, here's the DCP, and here's the land use strategy.
through the chair, the land use strategy will be the first thing, and you develop those documents on the basis that you develop an appropriate land use strategy. The land use strategy is compiled by a number of other reports you have, including your housing, your rural, your industrial, your whatever. We'll probably do one on the noise buffer. There'll be a number of reports that we need to fit into the land use strategy that will then form the LEP. Council, sorry, I asked that. Yeah, the council will be provided with a number of workshops in this regard.
Thank you. My second question is on page 89 at the bottom, fixing country roads, bridge replacement, Dogwatts Road at Campbell's River. So this has probably come up before and I must have missed it, but my understanding is that that is not our bridge. I think the boundary is on just our side of the bridge and it actually belongs to Bathurst. Is that correct? And if it is correct, why are we applying for grants for work outside our boundary?
I'm through the chair. I would suspect that if we're applying for the grant, we own the bridge. Or we are party to the bridge.
All right, could I ask
Yeah,
you to check?
yeah,
My
absolutely.
understanding was always that the boundary was just on this side and the entire bridge belonged to Bathurst, but I may be wrong.
Council rules are
Reply.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor McKibben.
If I could, Mr. Mayor, I just make a comment that I did make that inquiry some time ago of the technical services director as to who actually owned the bridge. And I think after some investigation, he did come back and actually say we owned it. We had thought the other way initially, but he did come back and actually say, no, we actually own it. It was about when the issue about getting rid of a willow tree, I think was one of the things. If I could actually make a comment here, Mr. Mayor, having attended the JO recently, one of the things that was fair square on the agenda was affordable housing, which is one of the areas here. From both the current government and the opposition, and they questioned, JO questioned both ministers carefully on this. The other thing that was interesting is while we were at the meeting, some of us attended the the Legislative Council debate late at night. And there was a resolution about affordable housing put up, I think it was by One Nation member, and it was fully supported unanimously across the House. So I think we're going to see a lot more in this space. I realise that might not be completely relevant, but it is on.
And that is, I think it's wrong. And the observation I was going to make is that between the 2016 and the 2021 census, the average age in Oberon increased 2 years, from 45 to 47. So that 65-year-old plus demographic is getting more prevalent, and their housing needs are going to be quite different. And whether it's aged care facilities or independent living units or just small places on current blocks within town, we need to, that's a consideration. 5 years away, the next 4 years away, the next census, and I think we'll probably find another 2 years of that to get every day. Anyone else? Thank you, councillors. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? 1406 is passed unanimously. Item 1407, water and wastewater plant report. Item 1407 is received with information. Councillor Hayden. Councillor McKibben. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to endorse this recommendation. One thing I would like to add is that I'd like people to be a little bit more mindful of what they're putting down their toilet. Having the pump stand with tea towels and elastic material, I think there needs to be a little bit more education in the community for people to be a little bit more mindful, because after all, this is costs that are bared by their rates if they damage it.
Rick. Councillor McKibben.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy to second this, but I would ask on page 93, and I'm not sure if it's the same source which Councillor Hayden was talking down about, heavy downpour for the high influx of water from the illegal stormwater connections. Do we have a number of those? And what's the situation with those?
And through the chair, it's like anything, we have a number of illegal stormwater connections, we periodically go and chase them. Generally it's through a smoke test or a scheme that we haven't do, but we'll be looking to do something and get in that space. Because there is an element of that which comes into play, which we need to look at.
Right, okay, thank you. I'm more than happy to second this report.
Anyone else? All right, I'll put the motion, all those in favour? Item 1407 is passed unanimously. Item 1408, which is the status of our council resolutions and recommendations. Item 1408 is the information. Councillor Hayden. Councillor McKibben, Councillor Hayden.
Yes, happy to move the recommendation and also happy with the comments in this as well.
Councillor McKibben.
Thank you, Bill. I've been through this in some detail and I'm actually very happy with it, so I'm really happy to second. I know there's a number of timelines in here that are good, but know when things are being done. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Sorry, you copy?
On page 97, the improvements to Apex Park 4 are only cosmetic, aren't they? Retiling, we're not re-roofing and diverting the power and things like that, like making it underground.
No, through the chair,
Just cosmetic.
council resolution is a Bruce and all change, so yeah.
Thank
They
you.
tell
No more, I'll put the motion, all those in favour? Resolutions passed unanimously. Well, done 1409. $14.10, the Oberon Waste Depot paint trial. A roof correction in summary. The date is not 21st of 9th, 2022, it's 2021. And the recommendation is that item 14.10 is received as information. Councillor McCarthy, Councillor Hayden, Councillor McCarthy.
I'm happy with the report, but I'd also like to see if we can't add a little bit to the recommendation of the report we received that looks like staff like this bit of plant that's been utilised, and that we can't get a report back to the next council meeting how we can possibly fund one of these machines, not second-hand as in the report. It just says that cost of second-hand one's about 100. I believe that we can do something a bit better. And there's the second who agrees that we add that to the report.
I'm happy to second the report. I noticed down at the bottom of the page, it's noticed that council plant coordinator advised that the cost of a similar aged front end loader with attachments would be in the vicinity of 150,000. If the mover would like to add that into the recommendation. So be it.
No, what I'm saying that we get a report back to see possibly how we can fund and have a new one, not a second-hand one. That's all. I think if you have it over duration of time, that the tip fund can finance.
So, could I suggest what you're asking for is an options paper
Yes.
on providing a front end loader?
Yeah, the new one. Yeah.
You all second hand.
Yeah, new or second hand, just leave it as options for a front end loader.
Yeah.
You happy with that? You happy with that?
I was a mover and
Just let paper back up.
next council meeting.
through the chair, would you be happy for that with the works committee? Council meeting?
Yeah, I think that would be the.
With another?
I don't know. How long is it away?
Two. Early December. After the November meeting.
Fair enough.
I'm pretty sure that's what
Sounds
we
good.
agreed on. All right, I'll put the amendments. All those in favour? Right, the amendment is carried. We'll now put the amendment to come to the motion, and I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Pass the unanimously. Right. All right, I have a variety of pieces of paper here. It's a little complex. There's no urgent business. There's no urgent business. So in accordance with the Local Government Act of 1993 and Local Government General Regulations of 2005, in the opinion of the General Manager, the following business is of a kind as referred to in section 10(a)(2) of the Act, and should be dealt with as part of a part of the meeting that is closed to the media and public. And these issues are 10-22/7 Rosemount Road upgrading project, suitable machinery and field operators for grading services. Sewer discharge write-off request assessment 12370480. Item 1603, a late report, which is the Oberon sewage treatment plant replacement tender T 2022-06. And item 1604, the General Manager's annual performance review for the period 1 July 2021 to 30 June 2022. Councillors, Councillor Hayden, Councillor McKibben. And we'll now move into confidential. Please recording, please. Open council has resumed at 7:29 PM. And recording has recommenced at this time. I advise that the following resolutions were made while the meeting was closed to the public and there were no members of the public present. 1601, which was tender T22/7 for the Rosemount Road upgrading project, field machinery and skilled operators for grading purposes. The motion was passed and council accepts the tender submission T22/7 from Stalls Grading Services, and the General Manager has been authorised to sign contract documents. Item 1602, the sewer discharge write-off request for assessment 12370487. And the resolution was that council write off the sewer discharge factor for assessment 12370487 for the billing period April 2022 to July 2022. Item 1603, a late report for the Oberon sewage treatment plant replacement tender T2022/06. The resolution was that council accept the tender submission from Public Works Advisory for the Oberon sewage treatment plant replacement detailed design tender 2022/06 for the contract price of $525,000. And that council delegate to the General Manager the authority to execute contract documents to allow the project to commence. Item 1604, the General Manager's annual performance review period 1 July 2022 to 30 June 2022. The resolution was that council note the report. Receive and note the General Manager's performance review panel report. Note the General Manager's overall performance for the review period of 2021-22 as determined by the panel was at meet expectation level, with collaboration, advocacy and compliance being close to the exceeds expectation level. Increase the General Manager's total remuneration package by $24,000. Delegated the authority to finalise and sign all documentation as required to the Mayor, and note a new performance agreement for 2022-23 is to be prepared by the Mayor and the General Manager. It is noted that staff were absent from discussions except for the Minute Secretary for item 1604. The next ordinary council meeting of Oberon Council will be held on Tuesday, the 15th of November, 2022, commencing at 5:30 at the council chambers. I now declare this meeting closed at 7:32 PM and wish everyone a good night. Thank you.